Rick Pitino reiterating he had no knowledge of this scandal, Stephen A., and he wants more attention being paid to the lie detector test. Are you buying what he's saying?
I am buying what he says. Having said all of that, I don't care. I want to say what I'm about to say. First of all, Jay Bilas, obviously an outstanding job, my colleague and buddy. I have profound respect for Rick Pitino and what he has accomplished as a basketball coach. I am ashamed of what I saw from him yesterday because it's evasive. Here's the reality of the situation. You're Rick freaking Pitino.
Yeah.
You are culpable. You got tears in your eyes. You bring up the lie detector test, and all right, fine. You didn't know anything. There's plenty of college basketball coaches that did not know what the assistants may have been doing, what alumni members may have been doing, what boosters for a university may have been doing. I mean, damn, they made a movie, Blue Chip, starring Shaquille O'Neal and Nick Nolte years ago, where Nick Nolte didn't know what the hell folks were doing. You're still culpable. So to sit up there and where I say that I was ashamed is that he's talking about certain, not the entire, Board of Regents or whomever pushed him out the door because of the pay-for-play scheme and the FBI investigation. Well, I'm not talking about everybody. I'm not talking about the university. I'm just talking about a couple of people. Well, what were those couple of people supposed to do? The FBI is knocking on your door. They are investigating violations. There have been 4 assistant coaches that have been indicted on multiple charges who can do 80 years in prison. 80 years.
Yeah, they've been indicted.
They've been indicted. They've been indicted, and they can do 80 years in prison. And you're sitting up there with tears in your eyes because somehow, some way, your name has been sullied. You did that. You did that because, listen, they said his actions and his inactions are what contributed to the situation. So in other words, what they're saying is dereliction of duty at the very least. You were asleep at the wheel. Rick Pitino, come on, man. I'm going to take him at his word, Max. He knew nothing. I'm going to take it even off.
I think he chose not to know.
Listen, that's fine.
Ignorance is bliss.
But we can think, but we don't know. So let's give this 2-time national champion the benefit of the doubt. He made it, 7 Final Fours? Listen, he may very well not have known. We find that hard to believe, but let's give him the benefit of the doubt. You may not have known anything. Because you are who you are. Scheduled to make, $7.8 million this year? 98% of the revenue from Adidas. So you easily pulling in about 10 to 15
Which he claims, by the way, was a pre-existing deal, and the information was leaked to make him look bad.
We're not sweating it. The bottom line is this. As far as I'm concerned, if Rick Pitino's earning $10+ million a year with the money he brought in Louisville, he deserves it. I ain't hating on it. All I'm saying, and I'm not even trying to indict you as if you knew something about this. I'm saying if you are the leader we know you to be, Rick Pitino, you know good and well you have to be held accountable for this because this happened on your watch. You can't sit up there pointing a finger at a couple people. There is no one he should have a problem with because he put them in an untenable situation. He contributed to it because, if nothing else, his dereliction of duty as the head of the program. You've got to own that. To come away like you've been some kind of victim. Nah, not that. You might not be guilty, but you damn sure ain't innocent.
I grew up loving Rick Pitino. When he took over the Knicks, he was the original D'Antoni, really. Knicks were the bomb squad. I've brought up Mark Jackson before. That whole team centered around the great Patrick Ewing, of course, but they were jacking up threes, and people said that's not the way you play, and they were full court press, picking the guy up full court, and that was Pitino. And ultimately, they failed in the playoffs, but they were a good, young, exciting team, and Pitino went back to college. So Rick Pitino fan. But the question is, are you buying what Pitino said? And the answer is no, I'm not buying it. I'm just not buying it. First of all, it seemed rehearsed. Whatever firm he hired, or if he did this himself, he was ready with set answers, it seemed to me. He wanted you to know right away about the lie detector test, which, by the way, can be defeated. You can beat a lie detector test. It's not that unheard of. Now, there's a strong positive correlation between someone lying and someone getting caught on a lie detector test. In other words, not being able to beat it. But there are plenty of people who have beaten lie detector tests. So the fact that he sits there and the first thing he tells you is, I beat a lie detector test.
Yeah.
Like he couldn't. Tripping off his tongue.
Yeah, that's what you point to. You know what I point to?
Wait, hold on one second.
Sorry,
Hold on one second.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
So he's putting that out there. Now, here's why I find it hard to believe, Stephen A. This is going back several years. I don't talk to as many people as I did then about this subject, but I knew from multiple people who were not that long ago assistants and such in college.
Okay.
The price for a top high school recruit going to a school in cash. Now, do I have first-hand knowledge of it? No, it's second-hand knowledge, but it's widely known in the industry. I could tell you the dollar amount it costs, college, basketball, and football. So you mean to tell me if I know that, Rick Pitino doesn't know that? And you mean to tell me that Rick Pitino is the one guy running a totally clean program? So I find that strains credulity. And the way he presented it seemed rehearsed to me. Now, I don't know that he's lying or anything like that, but if you're asking me my impression, it didn't sound credible.